Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Amir Abbas, and today I'm going to talk about a very important topic through a very short video, which is importing data in R. Many times what we do is that when we start data analysis, we are stuck on this point, and there are many aspects of this which are important and need to be considered. Some of them being that the data is present in different formats. And for example, there are SPSS data sets. Data can be present in Excel format, in CSV format, and many others. Each format has its own details on how to import that specific data set into R. What we're going to do in this specific video is going to give you an overview of importing data from different types of data sets. When the data set is saved in different formats, this video is not going to be the exhaustive it's not going to give you an exhaustive information about this topic, but it's going to be a good starting point to learn this topic in detail. So what I'm going to do is going to walk further into the contents of our presentation or this discussion. We'll be talking about different ways with how you can import the data in R. First of all, we'll be talking about a way in which you can import the data in R from menu. Then we are going to talk about the individual formats. For example, if your data is in CSV format, in Excel format, in text files, SPSS, STATA, or SAS, we're going to talk very briefly on each one of them. And then in subsequent videos, what we're going to do is going to deep dive into each one of these to identify issues which you will face in importing data in when you have in these formats and how to import those into R. So first of all, what I have to emphasize is that when I'm giving this presentation, at every point, just ignore this piece of code, which is starting with knitr include graphics, because this is just what it's doing. It's just importing these slides into this presentation. So that was just a aside from my talk. So first step is just to load the relevant packages. As in R, you always have to be mindful of the fact that you have to load some packages. So at this point, and for the sake of this video, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just name these packages, but I'm not going to go into the details of the individual package. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to load all of them. What I've done is I've loaded readr package, read Excel package, foreign package, SAS 7BDAT package, and Heaven package. And in the future videos, we're going to go into the details of each one of these package. The next one we're going to do is to clear our memory, clear our memory. So what happens is that if you see to the right, some of the data is already loaded. And when you're starting your new work and you are in between, you have finished some of the other data analysis, and some of the data from your previous work might already be loaded into your R. So it's always a good practice to clean your data to your environment, because it's not because a lot of the stuff it will be already loaded, and that will be taking a lot of your RAM space, and it may, if the data sets are very large from your previous work, then that can slow your computer. So it's a good practice to always start by cleaning your environment, and this is the code which will help me clean the R environment. So what this code is saying that remove everything from the working directory. Right, so I'm just simply going to select this code, and if you see that now my environment is empty, I can go ahead with loading some of the data set. The first step is to import the data set from the menu, and what I'm going to do right now, what do I mean by importing data set from the menu? Now, there are two ways with the help of which you can load data into R. First of all, the common way with the help of which we load data into R is by typing code. But on the other hand, there are some people who are more comfortable, especially if you're coming from the background of you have been working with softwares like SPSS, which are mostly menu driven, and STATA, which is a combination of code and menu driven. So you would be more comfortable with importing data from menu. So what it happens is that I'm going to demonstrate it to you. If you see to the right where my mouse is going, if you see this, it's written import datasets, and there's a drop-down menu. If I click on this drop-down menu, then a number of options just pop up, right? So what I'm going to do is I can import data from each one of these formats. What I'm going to do is let's assume I'm able to I can import data in one of these formats, say Excel. So another window is going to appear in front of me. I'm going to go to browse, and I'm going to choose the data which I have saved in the Excel format, just to make it clear, this one data set which we have in the diabetes data set. If you can see, this is in xlsx format, which is actually the Excel format. I'm going to select it and click open. So it's going to take a few seconds to load it. It's going to show it to me, and I'm going to click on import. And it has not only loaded the data set, but it's also showed it to me that this is how it looks like. And if you see to the right, it has actually loaded the diabetes data set. So this is one way to load the data set. You can load the data. I'm going to close this window to bring back to the R Markdown and bring myself back to the R Markdown. If you see to the right, and the data has already been loaded. One important feature of this functionality of R is that you can generate the importing code, the code which is used to import data with the help of this functionality. So what I'm going to do right now to demonstrate what I'm trying to say over here, I'm going to go to the import data set. I'm going to go to from Excel again. I'm going to go browse. I'm going to choose the diabetes xlsx data set. And this time I'm going to wait. The data has been loaded. If you see over here, it's saying code preview, right? So this time, rather than clicking on import, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this code, right click, copy, select the code, right click, copy, and then paste it in a code chunk. And here, what I'm going to do is run this code. So what now has been done is that a code has automatically been generated. And if you run the same piece of code, what is going to happen exactly the same which happened previously when you click import data set. So it has imported the data set, saved into a data which is known as diabetes, and it is showing it to me as well when I ran it. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to run it again. So this is one way, and you can import the data set in all format, which is a text data set, Excel, SPSS, SAS, and STATA in this drop down menu. So this becomes quite handy. I would recommend whenever you do this, generate the code and paste the code, because when you are rerunning it, you just need to rerun the code rather than again going to the drop down menu and doing the way I showed you. So this was about importing the data from the menu. The next thing which we're going to talk about is how to import data which is in CSV format, which is comma separated value files. So what we are going to do is there is a function which is known as read_CSV, which I've just selected. So you are going to use this function, and inside it, you have to put in the name of the file. And don't forget to put it .csv at the end, because otherwise it's going to throw an error. One thing you have to be cautious is that you have to put the file in the place where you have saved this R Markdown or this R file. Otherwise, we're going to talk about the pathways, how to, if the file is at a different place, just you have to give the complete path to the file. Otherwise, you just have to put in the name of the file with the with whatever the format is. At this case, it's CSV. And so what this piece of code is doing is that it's reading the CSV file and it's saving it to the data frame, which is known as data. So first let me run this line of code, and the next one, which is view data, is going to show this data set to us. So let's view it. As you can see that the file has been loaded. So this is, and always I'm going to save it. And there is another option with the help of which you can go from coding to convert your coding practice into a menu-driven practice. So what do I mean by this? Let's run this thing. This another function which is known as read.csv, and that has an argument within it which is known as file.choose. So what it's doing, if I run this line of code, then another window is opening for me. And I'm gonna, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna provide the path of the same file, the same CSV file which I used previously. If I'm gonna show it to you, is exactly the same CSV file which I used previously. So I'm gonna select this thing, and it has taken the same file, but it has helped me to create a menu from the code, and it has imported the data. It has saved the data to this data frame known as data. I'm going to view it again, and it's showing the same. It's exactly the same, but the difference is that in this way you are going to move from code to menu. So if you want, you can use this option as well. It's a totally your choice. The next topic which we have for this small video is importing data with the help of Excel. And so we have this data set which is in diabetes, and the extension is XLS. We're going to put the name of the file along with its extension into the function which is known as read_Excel. Save it to the data frame known as data, and then view it. So if I run these two lines of code, what it's going to do is, let me actually run the first line first. So what the first line is doing is that reading the Excel file and saving it to the data frame known as data, and I can view it as well. As you can see, I can view this data set. In the same way, we can import text files. So there is another function which is known as read_delim. I'm going to read the same diabetes data set. Now it's in the form of text with tab delimited. So this argument, which is telling it to assume that the delimiter is the tab, and escape is equal to false, and trim_w is equal to true. So if you use this, the whole of this code, I have to emphasize over here, in this video, I'm not going to go into a lot of details of the different arguments. I'm just going to give you an overview of these. So I'm just going to run it. So what it's going to do is, it's going to read this diabetes.txt file, save it to data, and then with the help of view data, I'm going to see that data set again. In the same way, majority of the people use SPSS or STATA or SAS data sets. So let's see how can we use, how can import SPSS data sets to R. In this case, what we are going to do is we are going to use the function which is known as read_SAV. And this SPSS data set is the time series _exp smooth data.sav. As a reminder, again, you have to save the file in the place where you have saved this R markdown file. If I'm going to run this piece of code, is going to import the data set from this file and save it to the data frame known as data. And I'm going to view this again. And as you can see that the file has been loaded. The next, in the same, we're going to import a STATA data set. Again, there's another function which is known as a read.dta. It's going to read this data set, which is known as nsl_panel2.dta, which is the STATA format. It's going to, if I run this line of code, what it's doing is importing the STATA data set, saving it to the data frame data, and then I'm able to view it with the help of view with the argument data. And you can see that this is another data set which has been loaded. In the same way, we can load the SAS files. So again, we have another function which is known as read.sas7bdat. And in the argument, you have to give in the name of the file along with the extension of the file, which is the SAS. This is used for the SAS data format. This is the extension for the SAS data format. So if I'm going to run this line of code, it's going to load the SAS data, save it to the data frame known as data, and help us. This next line of code is going to help us view the data. So this was an overview of all the different functions which we can use to import data into R. For the subsequent videos, I think this is not enough. This information is not enough because there are several important aspects of this topic which are needed to be covered. to give you an idea about how to import data in the real world. First of all, we will be going deeper into different data types, deeper into different packages and functions. And these are not the only data types which you have in the real world. For example, sometimes you will have to import data sets from HTML. You will have to web scrape, which means, for those who are not very much familiar with that, web scraping is, for example, if data is present in a distributed format in different places and on different websites, how you're going to help, how you are going to use R to actually scrape the data from those websites and import it in the form of a data frame or a spreadsheet. That's what we're going to discuss. Then we're also going to discuss in the future videos about different types of databases, how to import databases, import data from different types of databases. We are also going to talk about JSON format, data format, and how to import that. So these are some of the topics which I think are important in this context. If you have some more suggestions related to what should be covered around this topic, please leave a comment below. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you like this video, please press the like button. Take care for the time being. Bye.